up, YouTube? It's RS Mario here, bringing you another Legend of Zelda Wii U video. Yup, that's right, we're back at Legend of Zelda Wii U. And I know you read the title and you say, hey man, didn't you do one of these like some months ago? Like, yeah, I did. But back then, I was actually pretty new at the whole video editing and YouTube thing. So there's a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes in that video. And that video's been seen by like 700 people. So I'm surprised people actually still watch me after watching that video. But there's some mistakes and stuff in there. And that's one reason why I wanted to do another one. Another reason is, what better time to do another, top 8 things Nintendo can do to change Zelda video when they're pretty much gonna change Zelda. So the game has been delayed. They're definitely taking some things back to the drawing board. So while they're doing that, what better time to make another list of things they can do to change the game? So let's hop right into this, shall we? Number 8. Alright, so difficulty settings. Now this one is more of a carryover from the last list, just a little bit more elaborated on, a little bit differently. Now this one is, last time I said just make the game harder than Skyward Sword, which is a good idea, but it's also a bad idea for some people, since they do want this game to not only be good for Zelda fans, but also to expand the series. And we see what they've done with things like Fire Emblem, like making casual mode and Phoenix mode to kind of soften the game up for new people, to introduce them into the Fire Emblem game, but still have the game be awesome for the hardcore fans who want that hardcore permadeath feeling. They can do the same thing for Zelda. So one good way to do this is difficulty settings. So difficulty settings will make the game harder and allow you to choose how hard you want the game to be. I mean, we all know what difficulty settings are. Even Pokemon kind of has a difficulty setting. A difficulty setting for Zelda would be awesome, because this way, the new people to Zelda, can do it on easier difficulty that's more hand-holdy, with more tutorials and things like that, whereas the hardcore fans can, put it on a harder difficulty and make the game harder. Number 7. Using Link's face to tell the story. Link does not necessarily need a voice actor. Now, we've been clamoring for years for Link to have a voice actor. I mean, it would be interesting, but Link is supposed to be a representation of you. So you are technically supposed to be Link's voice. So things you think and things that you say while you're playing the game are really supposed to be what Link is thinking and saying. That's really why Link has not had a voice actor. The same reason for a lot of other things, like, same reason why the protagonist in all the Pokemon games doesn't talk, because he's you, and his reactions are supposed to be your reactions, and it's impossible to truly get your reactions, into the game without them being some other dude who just wrote the script to think like you. It's impossible for that to happen. So that's why Link is silent. Link does not have to speak. I mean, look at Link, throughout the years. His face has told a great story, and has told basically what he's going through in any given situation. Alright, so you can take the princess out of the castle, but you can't take the castle out of the princess. It came out weird, but yeah, so think about it this way. One way they could change the game on Zelda is to change Zelda herself. Zelda has been one semi-constant throughout all the Zelda games, and that is she's always a princess and she's always in trouble. But one of the cool things about Wind Waker was she wasn't always a princess. She started off as a pirate. Eventually, she became a princess, you know, and eventually she became in trouble. But a lot of stuff also happened to her in those series of games. The Toon Link series of games had a ton of things happen to her. Like, she was a pirate, she was kidnapped, she was a princess, she got kidnapped again, she died, her body got kidnapped. Tons of stuff happened to Zelda in the Toon Link games, which, you know, was awesome. They actually gave her a whole new character. Alright, now this one is more of a carryover from the other list as well, and that is plot twist. Plot twists in the game would be pretty interesting, because that's something that we do get in some Zelda games, and that would give them a way to tell a pretty interesting story, is to have a plot twist. And I ain't talking about some like crazy M. Night Shyamalan level plot twist, but, you know, a plot twist in the story that changes. Kind of like, I know I'm referencing Wind Waker a lot here, but I've been kind of going through Wind Waker, so but Wind Waker you know, had a kind of a plot twist where it kind of revealed that Tetra was in fact Zelda and she was a princess. You know, that was kind of a major plot twist, even though we kind of knew it was coming, since, you know, she looks like Zelda. But the fact is, it was interesting. And the same thing happened in A Link Between Worlds. I'm not going to spoil that one if you haven't played that one. I'll let you find that yourself. But yeah, you know, plot twists are awesome in video games, and they just make the story that much cooler. And if they really wanted to change the game, they could have some pretty interesting game-changing plot twists in there. That's always a pretty good way to do it. Number 4. Varied locales and climates. Now, technically, this was supposed to be the video that was supposed to come out this week about various locales and climates, but I had this idea and I just kind of had to run with it. So, you know, I kind of did. So, having various locales and climates in this game is kind of a given at this point. Since it's supposed to be this huge open world, you can't have the whole thing be like, you know, the same climate, the same kind of, you know, plains and green. And we have seen that it's actually different. From the gameplay video, we have seen them go from a mountainous area to a plains area to a lake area to a forest area in only a few minutes. And see, that is what this game truly needs. Now let's add in some other locales. So of course there's probably going to be the Gerudo Desert, so there's going to be a desert area. You know, we might get, you know, we see a lot of mountains, maybe somewhere there's a snowy mountain terrain. You know, of course there's going to be a beach water area, since there's a lot of water in the corner of the map. You know, and then of course Death Mountain is going to be a freaking volcano. So we're going to have, you know, varied locales, and that is something that is definitely needed in The Legend of Zelda to make this game really feel like a huge open world masterpiece. Number 3, give Link some magic. Alright, now this one is kind of a carryover from the last list as well, and it's for good reason, because this is something that is definitely needed to change up the game. Now, Link has had magic before. You know, he's had his sword could shoot like rays of light, and, you know, he could be able to change into animals, and he could be able to, you know, use the mask to do various different things. But most of his magic powers have actually come from items and people he's met throughout the game, and not actually from him himself. Now, Link is a bearer of the Triforce of Courage. Now, we've seen the other two, you know, peace bearers, you know, Ganondorf and Zelda, both have tons of magical powers. I mean, shoot, Ganondorf was a thief when he got the Triforce of Power, and shoot, after that, he became a freaking warlock and nigh immortal. You know, same thing with, you know, Zelda. She's a princess, you know, she got the Triforce of Wisdom, and she has all sorts of powers. Shoot, she can freaking bend time, you know. So, I mean, why not give the Triforce of Courage, the bearer of the Triforce of Courage, some sort of power? You know, I mean, I guess you can say the power of courage is, well, courage. Alright, number 2, Armed to the Teeth. Alright, so this one is a little bit different, and this one is more of a long shot, and that's, you know, basically having tons upon tons of different weapons and possibly armors in the game. Now, I've been playing through Skyrim, and I've been playing a bit of The Witcher 3, a bit of The Witcher 3, you know, as much as I could play, well, technical difficulties. So, you know, I've been really getting into armors and magic and weapons and things like that. Something like this would be a very interesting addition to The Legend of Zelda. And that would definitely be a game changer to have Link be able to change his clothes. And number 1, a truly open world. Alright, so this one right here is a bit of a carryover from the last list, but also something that's changed and expounded upon. So having a truly open world does not necessarily mean being an open world game. Now, when they say open world game, they weren't exactly meaning like Grand Theft Auto, Witcher 3, Skyrim level of open world game. They were thinking more of a non-linear game. You know, which is why they kind of backpedaled on open world a little bit after they announced it at E3. But I do know what they're talking about. But having it, you don't necessarily need an open world. I mean, you do need kind of an open world, but you don't need a completely open world to have an open game. Think of it like this: Skyrim's story was one of the biggest open world games of its time. And it was truly an open game where you can literally start a quest, walk away, come back a week later, and then finish the quest. You can start a quest and then go start 5 other quests as long as it don't conflict or there's no bugs. You know, you can do all these type of things and then just finish them in any order you want. You know, it's an open game and you can do all these different choices and things, but the end is still the same. The end still is the same. And of course, if you haven't played Skyrim by now, you probably, you know, should just stop this and just go. It's like $7 on Steam, $17 on Steam. Go play Skyrim. But yeah, you know, the end is still the same, and the end is still the end. Same thing with Mass Effect, a game with hundreds of choices. The ends are still the ends, and each one of the endings is pretty much the same, just with a different coat of paint. So, you know, having a truly open game does not necessarily mean a truly open world. What I'm saying is, maybe have the ending be open. Maybe have multiple endings, you know, to the game. Now, this is something that'll be somewhat new to a Zelda game. I mean, look, the last time we had a Zelda game with multiple endings was Ocarina of Time, and Ocarina of Time is arguably one of the greatest games of all time. So just think about it like that. So that's about it. Hope you like this list. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, keep it real.